All praise is due to Allah, the one who grants us seasons of mercy before seasons of accountability, the one who opens doors before we even realize we are standing in need. Shaban is one of those doors. It is a month many hearts pass through without attention. Yet it is the month the Prophet honored with increased worship, the month when deeds are raised, and the month meant to prepare us for the greatest guest of the year. Ramadan does not arrive suddenly. It is introduced gently through Shaban. And how we receive this introduction determines how deeply Ramadan will change us. Many people ask why their Ramadan feels heavy, rushed, or empty, while others feel light, alive, and transformed. The difference is not in the length of their fasts or the number of their prayers, but in what they did before Ramadan arrived. When Shaban is neglected, Ramadan becomes exhausting. When Shaban is honored, Ramadan becomes life-changing. If we learn to pause in this month, to return sincerely to Allah, and to prepare our hearts before our schedules, then Ramadan will not pass us by as a habit, but will remain with us as a turning point. Today, we reflect on how intentional actions taken in Shaban can completely reshape your Ramadan, elevate your worship, and allow your heart to experience a closeness to Allah that lingers long after the moon of Ramadan departs. Shaban is the month where Allah gently invites us to look inward before we are commanded to stand long nights and fast long days. It is the space between who we are and who we want to be when Ramadan arrives. In this month, Allah is not asking us to do more outwardly, as much as He is asking us to return inwardly. Before increasing actions, we are asked to purify intention. Before filling our days with worship, we are asked to empty our hearts of what distracts us from Him. Many people rush toward Ramadan with excitement, but carry the same spiritual weight they have been dragging all year. And when Ramadan demands discipline, that weight becomes exhaustion. Shaban teaches us that lightness begins with honesty. To sit with your heart and ask, where am I distant from Allah? Where have I become careless? And what am I holding on to that is keeping me from sincere worship? This is the month to realign your relationship with Allah quietly, privately, without pressure or performance. It is the month to fix what is broken between you and your Lord before the crowds of Ramadan arrive. The Prophet used to increase his fasting in Shaban, not to impress, not to compete, but to prepare. Preparation is an act of mercy toward yourself. When you begin to train your soul now, even in small ways, Ramadan no longer feels like a shock to the system, but a continuation of a journey you have already begun. A heart that has tasted closeness in Shaban will crave it in Ramadan, but a heart that remains distracted will struggle to suddenly submit. Shaban also reminds us that consistency is more beloved to Allah than intensity. Many hearts plan ambitious goals for Ramadan, yet collapse under their own expectations because the soul was never trained beforehand. Allah does not want perfection from us. He wants sincerity and steadiness. Even a few moments of daily core and Shaban soften the heart so that when Ramadan arrives, the Quran feels familiar rather than foreign. Even a few quiet moments of dua in Shaban teach the heart how to speak to Allah, so that in Ramadan, the tongue flows naturally. This month teaches us that transformation is not sudden, it is nurtured. There is also healing in Shaban that many overlook. It is the time to mend relationships, to forgive before Ramadan demands purity of heart, to let go of grudges that silently block the sweetness of worship. A heart heavy with resentment cannot fully taste the light of Ramadan. When you forgive for the sake of Allah, you are not excusing harm. You are free your soul. Shaban invites us to enter Ramadan lighter, not carrying emotional burdens that drain spiritual energy. When the heart is clean, worship becomes effortless. And when the heart is cluttered, even worship feels heavy. Shaban is also the month to gently discipline the nafs, not with harshness, to slowly what you consume. What wills. Ramadan will ask you to restrain yourself for Allah, but Shaban teaches you how to do it willingly. When you practice restraint now, fasting later becomes a joy rather than a struggle. Self-control is a muscle that strengthens with use, and Shaban is the training ground. Most importantly, Shaban is a month of hope. It is Allah telling us that no matter how the year has passed, the door is still open. No matter how inconsistent we have been, He is still welcoming us back. This is the mercy of Allah, that He does not demand immediate perfection, but gradual return. When you turn to Him in Shaban, even with weakness, even with hesitation, He honors that step and multiplies it in Ramadan. Allah looks at effort, not outcomes. He looks at the heart that tries, not the heart that pretends. As we move closer to Ramadan, let Shaban be the month where your heart reconnects before your body exhausts. Let it be the month where you choose quality over quantity, sincerity over show, and preparation over regret. Because when Ramadan arrives, it will not ask you who you plan to be. It will reveal who you prepared to be. And the one who honored Shaban will find Ramadan opening doors they never expected. Doors of peace, clarity, closeness, and lasting change. When we speak about preparing for Ramadan and Dawud, we often focus on what we will add. But Shaban gently teaches us to first consider what we need to remove. There are habits that quietly drain the soul, routines that numb the heart, and distractions slowly steal presence from our worship. If these are not addressed before Ramadan, they follow us into it, turning sacred moments into rushed rituals. Shaban is the month to become aware, to notice how easily time slips away, how quickly the heart becomes distracted, and how often Allah is remembered without being felt. Awareness is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to awaken responsibility. When you recognize what distances you from Allah, you are already one step closer to Him. This month also reminds us that worship is not only found in prayer and fasting, but in intention, behind every action. When deeds are raised to Allah in Shaban, it is not their size that matters most, but the sincerity that carries them upward. A small deed done with a present heart may outweigh countless actions done absent-mindedly. This is why Shaban invites us to slow down, to be intentional, to ask ourselves why we worship and whom we are truly seeking. When the heart remembers its purpose, worship regains its sweetness. Shaban is also a month to rebuild trust with Allah. Some hearts carry disappointment, unanswered dua, or pain that has gone unspoken for too long. These feelings quietly create distance, not because Allah has turned away, but because the heart has closed in self-protection. Shaban offers a safe space to reopen that conversation with Allah, to speak honestly in dua, without rehearsed words, without formality, and to remember that Allah is not offended by your questions, your tears, or your vulnerability. A heart that speaks honestly to Allah in Shaban will find comfort in Him throughout Ramadan. As Ramadan approaches, Shaban teaches us patience with ourselves. Growth does not happen overnight, and Allah does not expect sudden transformation. He loves the servant who keeps returning, even after falling short. This month reminds us that slipping does not mean failure, and weakness does not mean rejection. What matters is direction. If your heart is turning toward Allah, even slowly, you are moving in the right direction. Ramadan then becomes a continuation of that turning, not a desperate attempt to change everything at once. There is also a quiet training of gratitude that happens in Shaban, to recognize the blessing of time, health, and opportunity before they are intensified in Ramadan. Gratitude softens the heart and opens it to receive more. When you thank Allah now for allowing you to reach another Shaban, another chance, another doorway to mercy, your heart enters Ramadan already humbled and receptive. Gratitude transforms obligation into honor and worship into privilege. Shaban also prepares us for silence. In a world filled with constant noise, Ramadan demands presence, reflection, and inner stillness. If the soul is not accustomed to moments of quiet before Ramadan, it will resist them during it. Shaban gently invites you to sit with yourself, to allow moments of stillness, to be alone with Allah without distraction. In those moments, the heart begins to remember what it was created for. Silence becomes healing, not uncomfortable. As the moon of Ramadan draws closer, Shaban asks one final question of the heart. What are you truly seeking? Is it the outward form of worship or the inward transformation it is meant to bring? Ramadan is not meant to be endured. It is meant to be lived. And it is Shaban that teaches us how to live it consciously. When you prepare your heart now, Ramadan will not overwhelm you. It will embrace you. Let Shaban be the month where you begin again gently, where you forgive yourself for past shortcomings and commit to moving forward with hope, where you place your trust in Allah's mercy rather than your own efforts. Because when Ramadan arrives, it does not belong to the one who planned the most, but to the one whose heart was ready. And a heart that honors Shaban will find that Ramadan does not just pass through their life, but leaves a lasting imprint that remains long after the crescent moon fades. There is something deeply merciful about the way Allah places Shaban before Ramadan. It is as if Allah knows the human heart needs time to soften before it can fully surrender. A heart that has been hardened by routine, stress, or neglect cannot suddenly become present overnight. Shaban allows the heart to thaw. It allows tears to return slowly, humility to settle gently, and longing to grow naturally. This is why rushing past Shaban is a loss. It is the month where the heart learns how to feel again. In Shaban, Allah teaches us to check the state of our relationship with the Quran. Not how much we recite, but how we receive it. For some hearts, the Quran has become distant, opened only in Ramadan and closed soon after. Shaban invites us to reopen that connection without pressure, to listen before reading, to sit with a verse instead of rushing through pages. When the Quran is approached with love in Shaban, it becomes a companion in Ramadan, not a task. The heart recognizes its voice, and the soul responds with familiarity. This month also reminds us that worship without reflection becomes empty. Shaban slows us down so that when Ramadan accelerates our worship, it does not lose its depth. Reflection is what allows worship to penetrate the heart. It is what turns fasting into discipline, prayer into intimacy, and dua into reliance. When reflection is missing, actions become heavy. Shaban teaches us to pause, to ask ourselves what Allah is teaching us through every act of worship, and how it is meant to change. Shaban also calls us to reevaluate our relationship with time. Many hearts complain of not having enough time in Ramadan, yet time is a blessing that expands when it is honored. When we begin to protect our time in Shaban, to prioritize what matters and let go of what does not, Ramadan feels spacious instead of rushed. Time becomes meaningful when it is intentional. Allah places barakah where sincerity exists, and Shaban is where that sincerity begins to form. There is also a lesson in mercy toward others embedded in Shaban. As deeds are raised, we are reminded that Allah's mercy is vast, and He loves those who show mercy to His creation. This is the month to soften toward people, to speak gently, to restrain harshness, and to remember that character is not separate from worship. A sharp tongue can undo hours of prayer, and a soft heart can elevate even simple deeds. Shaban trains us to enter Ramadan with refined character, not just refined habits. Shaban teaches us that closeness to Allah is not always loud or emotional. Sometimes it is quiet consistency, small private acts, and silent sincerity. Not every tear is visible, and not every transformation is dramatic. Some of the most profound changes happen quietly between you and Allah alone. When Ramadan arrives, those quiet efforts bloom in ways you never anticipated. Allah never ignores what is done sincerely, even when no one else sees it. As the days of Shaban pass, the heart begins to sense the nearness of Ramadan differently. Not with anxiety, but with readiness. Not with pressure, but with anticipation. This readiness is a gift. It is the result of small, honest efforts made consistently. It is the peace of knowing that you have prepared your heart to receive Allah's mercy, rather than chase it. And when Ramadan finally arrives, the one who honored Shaban will notice something different. Worship feels lighter. Dua feels more natural. The heart feels more present. This is not because they are stronger than others, but because they allowed Allah to prepare them gently. Shaban was never meant to compete with Ramadan. It was meant to lead you to it with wisdom. Let Shaban be the month where your heart learns to arrive before your body does, where intention is purified, distractions are softened, and hope is renewed. Because when Ramadan begins, it does not ask for perfection. It asks for presence. And presence is born in Shaban. As Shaban comes closer to its end, it quietly teaches us a lesson about urgency without panic. There is a difference between rushing and responding. Rushing comes from fear of missing out, but responding comes from awareness. Shaban awakens us to the reality that time is moving, that opportunities do not wait, and that hearts must choose when to turn. This awareness is not meant to overwhelm us, but to gently push us toward action, however small. A single sincere step taken now may carry more weight than many hurried steps taken later. This month also invites us to redefine success. Many people measure success in Ramadan by how much they do, how much they finish, or how exhausted they feel by the end. But Shaban teaches us that true success is not measured by quantity, but by impact. Did your heart soften? Did your reliance on Allah deepen? Did your character improve? Even slightly. These are the changes that matter. When Ramadan is built on this foundation, its effects last beyond its final day. Shaban also exposes our relationship with discipline. Discipline is not about restriction alone. It is about choosing what matters most. When we willingly train ourselves in Shaban, waking up a little earlier, limiting distractions, being mindful of our speech, we are not depriving ourselves. We are aligning ourselves. Alignment brings peace. The soul finds rest when it is directed toward its purpose. This is why discipline in Shaban feels lighter than discipline imposed suddenly in Ramadan. There is also a powerful lesson in humility in this month. As deeds are raised to Allah, we are reminded that no matter how much we do, we remain in need of His mercy. Shaban strips us of self-reliance and reminds us that acceptance is not guaranteed by effort alone. This humility protects the heart from arrogance. In Ramadan, it teaches us to beg Allah for acceptance rather than assume it, to hope without entitlement, and to worship with gratitude rather than pride. Shaban teaches us to listen to the heart. A heart that is exhausted needs gentleness. A heart that is distant needs honesty. A heart that is eager needs. Allah does not treat every heart the same. And neither should we. This month allows us to tailor our preparation according to our state, without comparison. Ramadan is not a competition. Ramadan is not a competition. It is a personal journey with Allah. Shaban reminds us to walk it at a pace that nurtures growth rather than burnout. As we prepare to enter Ramadan, Shaban also reminds us that change begins with choice. Allah opens doors, but we must walk toward them. He sends reminders, but we must respond. Every moment in Shaban where you choose Allah over distraction, sincerity over appearance, and presence over habit, you are shaping the Ramadan you will experience. Ramadan does not come to change us magically. It amplifies what we have already begun. When the first night of Ramadan, the heart that honored Shaban will feel something familiar. The atmosphere will not feel foreign. The worship will not feel overwhelming. There will be a sense of recognition, as if the soul has been waiting for this moment. That familiarity is the fruit of preparation. It is the sign that the heart arrived early. Let Shaban be remembered as the month where you took yourself seriously, where you honored your relationship with Allah, and where you chose depth over display. Because the greatest gift Ramadan offers is not exhaustion, but transformation. And transformation does not begin at the sighting of the moon. It begins in the quiet moments of preparation, sincerity, and return. It begins in Shaban. As the heart settles into this understanding, Shaban begins to reshape how we see ourselves before Allah. We stop seeing worship as a checklist and begin seeing it as a relationship that requires care, honesty, and presence. In Shaban, Allah invites us to come as we are, not as we wish we were, with our weakness, our inconsistency, and our fear of not doing enough. And it is precisely this honesty that allows mercy to descend. Allah does not turn away the servant who admits their need. He draws them closer. Shaban teaches us to make peace with gradual change. Shaban teaches the soul resists sudden pressure, but it responds to gentle persistence. When we allow ourselves to grow slowly, without self-criticism, we give the heart space to heal. A healed heart worships differently. It no longer rushes through prayer. It lingers. It no longer recites without understanding. It listens. This inner shift is what allows Ramadan to penetrate deeply, rather than pass quickly. In this month, we are also reminded that Allah sees the unseen struggles, the quiet battles, the private tears, the effort no one notices. Shaban reassures the believer that nothing done sincerely is ever lost. Even the desire to change, even the intention to prepare, is already recorded. This realization brings comfort. It removes despair. It reminds the hearts that Allah's Shaban also reconnects us with hope. Hope that no matter how many Ramadans have passed, without lasting change, this one can be different. Not because we are stronger, but because Allah is more generous than we imagine. Hope is what keeps the heart alive. Without it, worship becomes mechanical. With it, even small deeds feel meaningful. Abba nurtures this hope gently, so that when Ramadan arrives, the heart enters with expectation rather than fear. There is a deep wisdom in preparing the inner world before the outer schedule. Many people plan their Ramadan calendars while neglecting the state of their hearts. Shaban reverses that order. It teaches us that when the heart is ready, the schedule falls into place. But when the heart is neglected, no plan can compensate for that emptiness. Allah looks first at the heart, and Shaban teaches us to do the same. As the days continue, the soul begins to feel lighter. Not because life has become easier, but because the heart has become more anchored. When Allah becomes the center, everything else finds its proper place. This is the calm Shaban offers, a calm that does not depend on circumstances, but on connection. And this calm is what allows Ramadan to be experienced as mercy rather than burden. Let this month remind us that Allah is not waiting for us to be perfect to welcome us. He is waiting for us to turn toward Him sincerely. Each moment of return is honored. Each effort each tear is fat. And when Ramadan finally arrives, it will meet a heart that has already begun its journey. Shaban is not meant to be remembered by how much we did, but by how deeply we returned, by how honestly we reflected. How honestly we reflect, by how gently we prepared, because the one who arrives at Ramadan with a present heart has already succeeded, even before the fast begins. As we stand at the edge of Ramadan, let Shaban leave an imprint on the heart, rather than a memory in the calendar. Let it be known not by how busy we were, but by how sincere we became. This month was never meant to overwhelm us. It was meant to prepare us gently, to remind us that Allah's door is not opened by force, but by humility. When the heart learns to bow before the body does, worship becomes a joy rather than a burden. Ramadan will come with its nights of standing, its days of hunger, its moments of exhaustion, and moments of light. But the one who arrives with a heart already softened by Shaban will experience Ramadan differently. They will recognize Allah's mercy in the stillness before suhoor, feel closeness in quiet dua, and find strength even in weakness. This is not because they are special, but because they responded when Allah invited them early. Let us not underestimate what Allah can do with small, sincere efforts. A whispered dua in Shaban, a verse reflected upon, a habit slowly released, a heart slowly healed. These are the seeds that bloom in Ramadan. Allah does not waste effort. He multiplies it beyond what we expect. And when Ramadan arrives, it does not create transformation on its own. It reveals the transformation that has already begun. May we enter Ramadan not chasing change, but carrying it. May we enter it already aware of our need for Allah, already hopeful in His mercy, already anchored in sincerity. And may Shaban testify for us, not against us, that we prepared, that we returned. O Allah, allow us to reach Ramadan with hearts that are alive, sincere, and present. Do not make us among those who fast yet gain nothing but hunger, or pray, yet gain nothing but fatigue. Make us among those whose hearts are transformed, whose sins are forgiven, and whose lives are changed. Accept from us what is small, overlook what is lacking, and grant us a Ramadan that brings us closer to you in ways that remain long after it ends. And if this Ramadan is to be our last, then let it be our best. Let it be the one where we truly return to you, woman. Oh, man.